for Thriving After 45 on the Menopause Made Easy podcast with Tanya. All right, so in the past, I've read some really great books. Oh my gosh, I love Gary Taubes, and he wrote Good Calories, Bad Calories. Read that book years and years and years ago. Ben Bikman, who wrote Why We Get Sick. And just these two people alone, these two great researchers, they are leading the way in regards to metabolic health to explain why sugar is a bigger threat to blood pressure than salt, the importance of fasting insulin number, and how lifestyle can reverse hypertension. So I wanted to pop in today and talk about the truth about blood pressure, sugar, and insulin. And let me tell you, I don't know, 3 years ago, I didn't care two tiddly two dies about any of this stuff. Okay. And then even my hormones in my 30s and 40s, I didn't want to learn anything about. I thought it was complicated. How does this apply to me? I just wanted to live my life. But you know what? My life goal is really health span. I know some of us are living longer than we used to, but I don't want to live longer and not be healthy. My goal is health. It is a very high priority for me as I move throughout my day, but I have to remember sometimes I'm human and I do human things that are not good for my health, right? And so how do I unwind that? And a lot of unwinding for me is how I inform myself, notice where I am, and slowly, I'm not in a rush anymore. And with just compassion and curiosity and courage, I just keep stepping forward, really, honestly. And I talk a lot about this in my Vibrant Living Academy. If you need some support, that is where you'll find me more than just my podcast. All right, so this podcast is really helping us to navigate midlife with power, peace, and purpose. And we're challenging today a very huge myth about blood pressure, and it starts with something sweet. And you've probably been told to cut out salt. I eat a fair amount of salt, but I don't eat a lot of processed food, and there's a lot of bad salt in processed food. So I eat like good quality Himalayan sea salt. But you may have been told to cut back on salt to lower your blood pressure. But what if the real culprit was sugar? Okay, I'm going to break this down for you. And I don't mean that you're eating sugar out of a sugar bowl. I don't mean that you're scarfing down cookies. There's added sugar in so many things these days. And um, there's things in our body that break down to sugar. Remember, there's carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And if it's a simple carbohydrate, okay, it's pretty much just sugar. And your body does not differentiate. Okay, so really just, it's that simple. Don't let people make this stuff complicated for you. So first, let's talk about what blood pressure really is. Like, do you know your blood pressure numbers? I think that's really important to go and get and see where you are. But it is the pressure of your blood pushing through the walls of your arteries. And high blood pressure, also known as hypertension, puts stress on your heart and your blood vessels and increases your risk for stroke, heart attack, kidney disease, and more. So it's important to know your blood pressure. Now, I will tell you that I take a lifestyle stance. I am not medication first. I am lifestyle first. It's up to you what you do. It's your life rodeo, okay? So you do you, I'll do me. But let's think about some of these things here. All right. For decades, salt has been painted as the villain, but more recent studies are pointing the finger at sugar, and particular this added sugar like fructose. Oh my gosh. Oh, I love, 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 love. Oh, his name just escaped me. Oh, it'll come to me. Oh gosh, I've read all of his books, metabolic. Oh, it'll come, it'll come. I'm sure some of you know who it is, and you're trying to tell me telepathically here. But anyway, okay. These added sugars like fructose and refined carbohydrates. I have a great program. It's in the Vibrant Living Academy. Okay. It's called 30 Days to Detox Added Sugars. It gives you all the steps I've done. I cannot tell you how important this step is in your transition to better health. All right. So because sugar doesn't just spike your blood sugar. Let me start with that. thought again. Because sugar doesn't just spike your blood sugar, it spikes your insulin too. And I have done a lot of episodes on insulin. I did not know what my fasting insulin numbers now, but I have to tell you, in the past few years, I know my numbers. I know my HbA1c number, I know my fasting insulin, and I have been working to decrease those numbers. And when my healthcare team says they're okay, I'm like, I want them better. I can't remember what my fasting insulin is, but I know that my HbA1c is down. I've taken it down a point. I'm still in the healthy range, but why not be healthier? Okay. So we want to pay attention to our insulin. So what is fasting insulin? I have talked about this in the past, but it's always good to get a reminder, and why under 6 matters. So I'm going to give you the units here because it's different from the States to Canada. All right. So when I say under 6, I'm talking about, it's a very funny way to look at this, but on your report, it says U, little u, I, big U / ml. So just make sure, like, there's conversions you can do if you're not, depending on where you are, to kind of get the grip of what I'm talking about today. Okay, but so insulin is a hormone made by the pancreas that helps our cells absorb glucose, okay, which comes from carbohydrates, comes from sugar, glucose, sugar, carbohydrates from your bloodstream. So insulin is a hormone. It's a chemical messenger. Remember, hormones are chemical messengers made by your pancreas that helps your cells absorb glucose from your bloodstream. And it is important to know this number. And your fasting insulin level measures how much insulin your body is making when you haven't eaten for 8 to 12 hours. So when you go get your blood test, you need to make sure you have fasted for at least 8 to 12 hours. And ideally, this number should be under 6 UIU/ml. Why? Because the higher your insulin, the more your body is in fat storage mode. And I have done tons of episodes about, are you a sugar burner or are you a fat burner? You don't want to lose weight. You want to lose stored fat. Stored fat is stored sugar. Okay? And the more inflammation and water retention you have, this will directly rise your blood pressure number. All right. So just alone, like, I really hope from listening to my podcast, you really get the difference between sugar burner and fat burner. That the fat on your body is stored sugar, it's stored energy, and we need to learn how to tap into the stored energy, to use the stored energy, right? It's not about simply weight loss on a scale. I really hope everybody gets that after listening. And if not, listen to episode 8. I think listen to episode 56. I really dive into that. So according to metabolic expert Dr. Ben Bikman, chronically high insulin, also known as hyperinsulinemia or insulin. Did I say that? Okay, anyway, I said it right the first time. Now I can't say it. Is the root cause of most every chronic illness, including hypertension, obesity, diabetes, and even some cancers, right? So if you don't know that insulin number, go get your fasting insulin checked, and then you can start to do some of the things that I'm going to share with you today. All right, so what happens if your fasting insulin is over 6? When your fasting insulin is over 6, okay, you retain more sodium in your kidneys, causing the body to hold on to salt. This is according to Dr. Ben Bikman. Your blood vessels become stiffer and more inflamed. Your sympathetic nervous system gets activated, which is your stress response. You store more fat and burn less energy. And I have done an episode, I think it's 205A or 206A, why we get fatter in the winter. That's a really good short episode to go and listen to. Okay. And then you also get cravings for carbs and sweets. They're basically somewhat the same thing, which makes this cycle even worse. So if your fasting insulin is over 6, like these things are happening, it's not about willpower, everybody. It's not about willpower. You really have to get these hormones organized. Okay, and let's talk about why salt is not the enemy, but sugar is. Robert Lustwig, Dr. Robert Lustwig has written some, or Lustig, has written some really amazing books that I have read. Okay, and also Gary Taubes, which he wrote Good Calories, Bad Calories, is a very thick book, reveals how salt has wrongly been accused, and the evidence for salt causing hypertension is weak and inconsistent with the evidence that refined carbohydrates and sugar are causing hypertension more strongly, and are ignored. Okay, we have a health epidemic. Listen, I had a problem with sugar. I still eat sugar. We all eat sugar in the forms of carbohydrates. But I'm talking like, where's my book? I had a problem with binge eating sugar. Okay, and sometimes I still do, but it's much less infrequent. That's where the human side of me comes out. Sometimes I just, need it. But um, anyway, let's get back on point here. So salt can actually support adrenal function, the right salt, okay, hydration and electrolyte balance. It's really important to look at your mineral intake. We are very deficient in minerals. Cutting salt too drastically can actually increase insulin resistance and stress hormone levels and fatigue. This is according to Gary Taubes. And good quality salt, like sea salt or Himalayan salt, contains essential trace minerals that we need, right? So if you still have white salt at home, ditch it, replace it. If you are eating a lot of processed food, it has the yucky salt in it, okay? And if you're eating potato chips, because a lot of people say to me, Tanya, I don't eat sugar, I don't have cookies, I'm not a sweet tooth. I'm sorry, but potato chips and popcorn is carbohydrates. It's the same as eating a cookie. All right, it is carbohydrates, it is a simple sugar. It just has more salt on it. All right, so I want to share the tale of two women because, again, people have been enjoying when I do this, but we're going to call her Betty. Betty is following conventional advice. Okay, and Betty is about 60 years old. She has mildly high blood pressure, and her doctor tells her, okay, I was just reading something the other day or listening to something the other day. I'm taping this in September, that it can take up to 17 years for what we're learning now to get into medical textbooks. And this was a doctor saying this, and I hope to God that window is shortening. But if there's some doctors who are not doing continuing education courses or lifestyle management, they may still be giving you very outdated advice. So it's important to, make sure you have a current doctor who is up on these authors and the research. Okay, so your doctor may say cut salt, diet doesn't really matter, just take this medication. Okay, and so Betty does these things, doesn't feel better. She's fatigued. She craves salt, or she craves carbohydrates. She actually gains weight, and her fasting insulin remains high at 11. And sometimes your doctors don't even suggest to have your fasting insulin done. Okay. Her blood pressure stays elevated, and now she takes 2 medications and feels frustrated. Because I'm telling you a little bit, like some of this stuff takes work, some of it takes research, but this is where compassion and curiosity and courage come in. Okay. So, and the willingness to be open. Now, let's take Lisa, who's also about 60, and she's into root cause healing. And she has a doctor who is updated with information and knows about the latest on metabolic science. And basically, Lisa is seeing a functional health coach as well. Because the doctor, listen, doctors work really hard and nurse practitioners, they don't know everything. So this is why I talk about having a health team. And Lisa's doctor, as much as she is, learning this information, refers her to a functional health coach who has more of a specialty in this area. And Lisa begins increasing the mineral rich salt intake in her diet to support her adrenal functions and reduce her sugar cravings. Okay. She starts to cut out, gradually eliminates these refined carbohydrates and added sugars. Again, an amazing place to start is with my 30-day added sugar detox in my Vibrant Living Academy. She starts to add some daily walking and some strength training. Oh my goodness, what have we been talking about for the last 4 years in this podcast? Or is it, it's almost 4, I believe. And include more protein and healthy fats. And within 3 months, Lisa has her fasting insulin down under 6. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Okay, her blood pressure normalizes. She's had no medication. You have to want to do this work, okay? Or you could just go on a blood pressure pill, which honestly, you'll stay on because it's not really bringing your blood pressure down with lifestyle. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. Her energy improves and her doctor tapers off her medication. In fact, I'm going to talk about this a little bit because I know people on blood pressure medications and their energy is still not what they want it to be. Okay. And they're still on medication. And so if you want to live on medication, that's fine too. Okay. It's your choice. So what are some tips to lower fasting insulin naturally? Do you want to be like Lisa and take some of this control into your own hands? You've really got to look at your refined sugar intake, everybody. I finally had a wake-up call where I'm like, Tanya, you have to start making choices. I wanted to make choices. I wanted to live more healthy. All right, so that's why I did the 30 days added sugar detox, amazing place to start, located in my Vibrant Living Academy. Really focus. I love the addition principle on getting more vegetables, healthy proteins, healthy fats, and low glycemic fruits. You may have to start at different points depending on where you are. Do not do a crash diet. It will not work. Take the next simple shift. Walk after your meals. So pick up my 5 hacks to cut your cravings. This will help keep it all fresh in your mind. But walk after meals. So a 10 to 20 minute walk lowers your post-meal insulin and glucose. Prioritize protein at every meal, which reduces your insulin spike and helps to keep you full. I've done episodes on leptin, so those are good ones to listen to. You got to lift weights. There's no way around it. I'm sorry. But lift those weights 2 to 3 times a week because muscle is magic, right? So you'll build insulin, like it eats, it sucks it into the muscle, okay? And it boosts your metabolism. That's all you need to know. Try some time restricted eating. Okay, stopping eating 2 to 3 hours before bed. We're not supposed to be digesting food at bedtime. Aim for a 12 to 14 hour overnight fast. How long are you fasting now? Get good sleep. All right, so if you have poor sleep, it's going to increase your cortisol and insulin resistance. Reduce stress. I have so many classes in my Vibrant Living Academy that reduce stress. I have roller classes, yoga classes, Pilates classes, breathing classes, stretching classes. And we even have some fun meditations in there. So cortisol and insulin are best friends. And so calming your nervous system really helps to regulate both of those. And mineralize your water. So if you're not putting minerals in your water, add a pinch of sea salt, Himalayan sea salt, or use an electrolyte mixture to stay hydrated and help with your sugar cravings. All right, so very actionable items. These are the same things I talk about week after week after week. If you are not doing them, is it time to come and get support from me? Is it time to be in a loving community? Is it time to start moving your body and putting better nutrition in there? you can answer that question. And when you're ready, you can reach out and chat with me. So we have been told to fear salt when we should be looking at sugars. We've been told that medication is the only answer. That's not true. Okay. Lifestyle choices are super powerful, even more powerful than medication. And it's time we stop blaming our age or our genetics and just start learning about the power of insulin, food, and movement. And this, everybody, this is your vessel. This is most of us take better care of our cars and our houses than we do ourselves. Okay, so be the CEO of your beautiful vessel that you are in. And remember, you are not broken. Your body is responding to the inputs that you are giving it, and you can change that. You can change the input to change the outcome. All right? So it is in your power. You should feel revved up after listening to this episode. So, just to summarize everything, blood pressure is more influenced by insulin than salt, according to these two authors. Fasting insulin under 6 is the key marker of good metabolic health. Unfortunately, like 95% of our population does not have good metabolic health. Sugar and refined carbs are the real culprit in hypertension. Conventional medicine often overlooks insulin resistance, and lifestyle shifts can normalize insulin and blood pressure without medication, but that's a choice that you have to make. All right? So, lovely ladies, thank you for listening to this week's episode of Menopause Made Easy. Please like, subscribe, leave me a comment if you can find it in your heart. Share this episode with the lovely people in your life, men and women, everybody, any age. This is this is for everybody. You are the CEO of your health. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me today and every week. And I wrap you in big, healthy hugs. And until next time.